Welcome to the Wealth Podcast, Off With Your Coat, a podcast on women's health and wellness where we flip the script and ditch the surface level chatter. We need to ask the real questions. Let's get back to storytelling and back to basics to help us uncover how to set ourselves up for true health and wellness and pass it on. I'm Kat Duff, founder of GenWell, the women's health advocacy brand building wealth, the intersection of health and wellness. Some days it's me and a doctor, coat off, talking about what really matters. No fluff, no filters. Other days, it's East meets West, trading tools, not punches, to help move women's health forward. We're building generational wealth. Come with us. Coats off, let's go. Welcome back, ladies. Okay, so PMS has turned into a joke when for a lot of women, it's anything but. And PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which I personally have, is a completely different animal. If you know, you know. Mood crashes, anxiety, brain fog, feeling completely off, and still being told it's normal. So what's actually going on, and why does it feel like women are left to figure this out on their own? Today, we're getting into PMS, PMDD, the gut, brain, and where medicine still doesn't have all the answers. I'm joined by Roma Vishwanath-Deutsch, founder of Pink Matter, a company focused on supporting the gut-brain hormone connection in women's health. Roma, code off, let's go. Roma, I am so excited to have you here today. You are about 4 months postpartum, so thank you for hopping on the mic. Welcome to Off With Your Coat.
Thank you, Kat. I'm so excited to be chatting with you.
Yeah, I mean, we are at similar life stages in the fact that we have young kids and we are in a postpartum period at different ends. You just started, I sort of at the tail end, but we have PMDD in common, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And so we always open up with a more personal story so that you can connect with our audience and kind of take off the white coat, like get women to talk to other women so that we can start to storytell again. We can start to understand lived experience versus just a doctor talking at you. So I'd love to just know, like, what moment in your healthcare journey in women's health were you just like, was it a holy shit moment or something in your personal experience that really opened your eyes to, we need to get better care?
Yeah. Yeah, no, seriously. No, I'm so thrilled to tell you my story. It's not very interesting, but to me, I think it is something that was like my aha moment for like my personal life. Well, basically, as I turned 28, 29, I'm currently 33. I started to experience PMS like a little bit more intensely. Sorry, a lot intensely. It started to really interfere with my life, my personal life. Obviously, I have a husband, I have a dog, but also my professional life. I totally was taking on that was on the latter part was, I think, really compelled me to start talking to people about it. And I'm a big talker. I don't like to keep things a secret. I tell people. I'm really lucky to have like a great group of like people, friends, acquaintances that I can just talk to about different things. And so one day I was just having a coffee with my friend Hala. Shout out to Hala. And I was like, look, I'm feeling X, Y, and Z. It's really, really intense. They were mostly mental health symptoms. And she's like, yo, like my cousin experiences something like this. It sounds so familiar to me. And she told me that she has PMDD. Look it up. At the time, she was like, yeah, I can't really recall what PMDD is, like the full version of it, but just look it up. And I was like, you know what? Let me just look it up right now. We're both looking it up and literally like checking off all the boxes. And I'm like, okay, sounds like me. And so what I'm going to do next is go to a doctor and get like an official diagnosis. To going to my physician, my GP. I'd previously gone to my GP with these symptoms, and they were like, "Yeah, PMS is really hard. I'm really sorry." They were really supportive.
Yeah.
I go back with like, I read about PMDD. What do you think? They're like, yeah, actually, you know what? You might have PMDD. I wasn't like officially diagnosed or anything. I was prescribed birth control. And I was on birth control for like about 6 months or so. I had to stop taking it because I was, my husband and I were thinking of like trying to start conceiving. I was like, fine, this is not going to do. So I went back. Also, like the 6 months of birth control didn't really like do much. I didn't feel like a significant difference in my life. And I realized, okay, let me go back and, ask for something something else? Is there anything else I can do? Okay, let's do Prozac. Antidepressants for like just the luteal phase. So it's like an intermittent Prozac dosing. It didn't do well in a sense that I had a lot of side effects with the antidepressant. And I went back to my doctor and I'm like, so what now? And they're like, just like try to like conceive. We'll see. Maybe you'll get pregnant and then your period's gonna stop. And then,
Oh my God.
unfortunately, it took such a long time for me to conceive that I was like, fuck this. I need to look into this because this is driving me crazy. I mean, I'm being so like, nonchalant about it right now, but in the moment, like back then, it was brutal.
Yeah.
I was really desperate. And, I'm a biotech scientist. I have a research background. I'm like, let me start looking into the research, like what's going on. And that's really how I got into the space. And well, I've been in the space for almost my whole life, right?
Yeah. So how did you said the birth control didn't work for you? You were on an SSRI during that luteal phase. Like, how did both of those things make you feel? What were some of the side effects?
Yeah. I think birth control was fine, but my PMDD didn't really go away. I was still experiencing a lot of symptoms. With the antidepressant, it was mostly feeling like a zombie, like feeling
Yeah.
like the life was just sucked out of me. Like
Mhm.
there's no pleasure in or the deliciousness in life that you
Yeah.
experience. And I just felt like, oh, you know what? Like PMDD was like actually like fine. Like I was sucking up to it and I was okay, except for, whatever that was going on. And so I thought, you know what? I'd rather that than feel like I just can't function or,
Right.
can't have like a happy thought.
And what
Yeah.
were like the main signals for you for PMDD versus like really bad PMS?
Yeah. Yeah. So I had a lot of different mental health related symptoms that would aggravate like differently during like different days and also during different cycles, right? It wasn't like an even keel. Okay, now I'm going to start feeling depressed and now I'm going to start feeling anxious. It was very kind of like up in the air. Like I didn't know what card I'd be dealt with, but I know that, okay, it's coming.
Right.
So I would say depression, anxiety, lots of anxiety at work, especially. And I was like rocking it at work. I was really good at my job. And yet I would feel like I just did not know what I was doing. I had to really get a grip kind of thing. What else? Lots of fatigue. I would literally take days off every month.
Mhm.
And the really cool
Yeah.
part about my job at the time, I was at Helena. Shout out to Helena. I was like their first employee. I was like ingrained into Helena culture at the time, and I had really great managers. And my manager at the time, I had to confide in her. I had to be like, and good thing she was like she's a woman. She understood me, and she's like, fine, do what you have to do. But I know people aren't in this position where they could potentially ask for days off like that
Mhm.
often. It was definitely affecting my mental health in terms of like the stress too. Like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen now. So, I mean, just think about it. 2 weeks you are experiencing the symptoms, and the 2 weeks after or prior, you're just like anticipating what the fuck's going to happen. Oh no, like how am I going to manage it? Let me plan for it. So, like, I'm literally on my toes like all the time.
Right. It's like that existential dread where you can't pinpoint
Yeah.
it, but you're just like,
Yeah.
I feel it. The doom is there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is like everyone's experience because I've come to learn PMDD can manifest in like various different forms. So I don't know if this is like universal, but for me, it was a non negotiable. I was like, I am done. And
Mhm.
I'm done trying to manage each and every single thing that I'm experiencing during my luteal,
Mhm.
for my anxiety, for my depression, for my
Right.
fatigue, for my cramping. Like I just want.
Right. It's like our healthcare system in a nutshell of everything is so siloed. So let's treat each individual thing without looking at everything holistically. And I love that April is PMDD Awareness Month.
I know.
Um,
It's so timely.
yeah, I was also diagnosed at 28. So I'm wondering, like, from a scientific perspective, like, is that because you're starting to enter those like conception years or when your body is preparing for conception? Like, I wonder if there's something there with the hormonal fluctuations and maybe that's how it's triggered. I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, I would say, like, I would counter that and
Hmm.
say that it is not the hormone fluctuation part at all.
Okay.
It is how your body reacts to the hormone fluctuation, normal hormone fluctuation.
Mm.
So PMDD in its definition, and there is a prevailing, notion that PMDD is purely hormonal disorder. It isn't. It is a neuroendocrine disorder, which means there is your nervous system, neuro, and your hormones, the endocrine system, involved. So it's
Mhm.
not just hormones. So what really is happening is your hormones are fluctuating, your estrogen, progesterone. Your brain is reacting to the fluctuation in a way that's like really exaggerated. In other words, it's really sensitive to the fluctuation. And there is emerging research to show that this sensitivity could be because of the status of your gut health, because of that gut brain connection. So my counter to that, as we're aging, our inflammation is rising. We probably need better nutrition as we're faced with so much stress in life and whatever. We need all of that good fuel that we're not getting to like nourish our systems, especially our gut. And that is sending the message to the brain that, hey, like we're not fully equipped to like deal with these fluctuations. Like, what do we do? And our brain is like, freak out. And I'm putting this in such like comical terms, but
Yeah.
scientifically, yes, that's what's happening. It's a brain sensitivity disorder. It's almost deemed as a psychological disorder, PMDD.
And so who's predisposed to that?
That's such an interesting question. So there's research that women who have ADHD, they
Mhm.
have a 30% higher susceptibility for PMDD. Women who are perimenopausal, women experiencing, say, like other reproductive concerns like endometriosis, there's such a big overlap between endometriosis and PMDD.
Oh, interesting.
But if you like go even deeper, why do Kat and Roma have PMDD? We don't know. There isn't enough research there yet for us to pinpoint this is why you have PMDD or
Yeah.
this is why you have PMS. And my friend Hala does not have PMS.
Mhm.
But there are these hints and signals, and you know how researchers, right? Like there needs to be categorical, like causative and correlative links together for it to be, a sure shot answer that this is why PMS occurs, this is why PMDD occurs. We don't have that yet, but there is research coming up.
Mhm.
There are
Mhm.
hints, but can't really be, pinpointing exactly why.
Yeah.
But like I said, like other concerns could definitely aggravate these issues.
Yeah, because I remember growing up and my PMS was, I think what we now unfortunately is like a throwaway label, right? It's like, oh, she's just PMSing. She's just PMS. Oh, she's moody. Men will use it as a derogatory term, which is like, fuck you, or like really crampy. And then I feel like in my 20s, it was better. And then I recall going to work, or I was getting ready rather for work, and I'm putting my mascara on in the mirror, and I'm like physically shaking. When you have that palpable anxiety, and as you were saying earlier, it's like you can't really pinpoint where it's coming from. And I was like, what the fuck is happening to me right now? And looking back on it, I remember at work, like sometimes I would stutter. I was always in sales. I would stutter over things because it was almost like my brain was working too fast
Ugh,
for my body in that time frame. Part of it was I did have generalized anxiety my whole life, which was untreated in
yeah,
my particular case. But I ended up finding my GP I Googled and found this woman who's a psychiatrist in New York who specifically worked with PMDD because I'm like, well, this is how I'm feeling. It's interesting. When I went on an SSRI, so that helped with the generalized anxiety. And during that luteal phase, it helped to blunt some of the anxiety, but not all of it. And so that's why I want to get into you. Like, if we're
yeah,
really getting to the root of things, like, where does it stem from? And flash forward now 10 years later. So I had my two kids. Like, my PMDD was actually pretty okay during that time frame. I also did a gut reset in that time frame.
interesting.
Yeah, like there's a
Oh, this
whole
is really
other
interesting.
slew of different factors. And then with Zoe, my morning sickness was really bad for the first like 6 months, which I didn't have with Carter. And then flash forward, I stopped breastfeeding, and the first period that came back, I cannot even tell you, the
Ugh,
PMDD reared its ugly head. And it sort of took me by surprise, frankly, because it's been 10 years since I really felt those symptoms.
yeah,
And it's been honestly really bad and something that has been debilitating for me and affects my relationships. And like from an entrepreneurial perspective, it's like you're just like, oh my gosh, everything's insurmountable. I want to go hide in a corner. And I think there's a lot out there with women's health that they're telling us that really contradicts how we should be caring for ourselves as well.
yeah,
So I'm still on an SSRI. I stayed on it during my pregnancies. I
yeah,
feel good about that decision. But it still is like there's something missing during
yeah,
that luteal phase. I
yeah,
would love to jump in there on how did you start to like what then led you, okay, I'm
yeah,
conceiving, and then how did you get to the gut? How did you get to, okay, I'm gonna dive in and double down on PMDD support?
yeah. Before that, I do want to say that birth control and antidepressants, these SSRIs, these are really, really helpful solutions for symptom management of PMDD. I am a big supporter of them. Like there are a lot of women who benefit from it, and there are also some women who like don't see any benefits. And also, birth control and antidepressants they have their own purposes, right? Birth control is for contraception. Antidepressants is for, generalized depression, anxiety. Like understanding that there are these really powerful evidence-backed solutions and the fact that we still need more innovation in the space, I think is like a fair thing to want, right? Like I think it is fair to want more supportive solutions, and also still rely on what has already been studied so rigorously in women and continue doing that. So I really want to commend you for keeping at it. It's not easy. SSRIs, birth control, whatever is working for you, I think that is great. How I got to the gut, there's a connection between the birth control antidepressants gut also, and I'll tell you. So how I really got into it. So my background is in nutrition, like health, a subcategory would be like women's health, my own personal like lived experience. I started to look at what are the clinical trials out there with women experiencing PMS as the subject, right? Because a lot of times when you look at clinical trials for like your supplements or medication, whatever, the subject, who is the subject and what are they experiencing? That is so critical, right?
Are they
Like
generally men for all the PMS
yeah,
ads we're seeing?
think about, I don't know if you heard this, but like the cold plunging
Yeah.
trend, it works amazingly with men. They love it. It is so amazing for them. But for women, it is the worst thing you can do to yourself, right? But we've tried it because like, hey, like it seems to be working for these people, but who are these people? They're all men. Anyway, all of this to say, that was my subject. I really over-indexed on finding out these studies, and that's how I stumbled onto a specific clinical trial that was done in Japan. Basically, they found there were specific differences in the gut microbiome in women experiencing PMS versus women who did not have PMS.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Happy to share this clinical trial. I think it's fascinating. You should totally read it. And that was kind of like my foray into like, wait, this is insane. And, I had already been exposed to the gut brain axis. That's something that I worked on, like my previous like job and like previously as well. Very much aware of like the latest that was going on.
Mhm.
And of course, like I'm also like a consumer. Like I see what's out there in the market, and probiotics was like the rave. And this is I'm talking like this like 3 years ago.
Mhm.
So that was my entry point, and the research just kept piling up. And the fact that PMDD is a neuroendocrine disorder, like it makes sense. So think about it. The gut is where your 95% of serotonin, the
Mm.
happy neurotransmitter, the happy hormone, is created. Right? The other 5% is created in the brain. There needs to be a specific environment in the gut for your serotonin to flourish. And guess what PMDD is? PMDD is basically like a dip in serotonin. And then there's also like other nuances to like the gut brain connection. And that's where the estrogen comes into picture. So not only is there a gut brain connection, this bi-directional, this two-way communication, there's also a two-way communication between the gut and estrogen, where there are certain good bacteria in your gut that create certain enzymes. There's one called beta glucuronidase. It's really important for estrogen metabolism.
Hmm.
Estrogen is created, it is recycled, it's metabolized, and then it's created again. And that's just how it normally functions. And I'm not saying that in PMDD that's not happening, but in order for estrogen to be metabolized and the gut microbiome to release this enzyme, there's also a brain that's just waiting for like signals. Okay, all of these processes are happening normally, which means I'm good to go. I'm doing really well. PMDD, again, back to the definition and the prevailing notion that PMDD is a hormonal disorder, is incorrect.
Yeah.
I also just want to speak to like reproductive disorders in general in women's health. Like these are not isolated like disorders. It's like not like a hormone disorder where something is wrong with my estrogen or my progesterone. The body, like it is all connected. Nothing works in isolation. It's a systemic disorder. It's a systemic issue. There are other parts of the body involved. Hormones don't like work in isolation. They're just not like, okay, I'm going to do my thing. No, there needs to be your gut microbiome involved, your nervous system involved. So all of this like back channeling and communication, this needs to be supported in order for you to start feeling like everything is running smoothly. Everybody has everything they need. And that's essentially what it's like. If I had to really, 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 really like dumb it down, it's really down to that. Do I
Yeah.
have the essential like nutrients I need to create all of these different like neurotransmitters, the hormones? Do I have enough of these food entities that the gut microbiome needs for it to eat to produce these enzymes and metabolites and whatnot? All of these things are like signals, and if these signals are not generated, the communication is like messed up. So what I call this, like I've actually created a framework around this called the gut hormone brain framework. I call it the premenstrual pathway. And what we're doing is, pink matter is, essentially what we're doing is we're a platform for evidence-informed solutions for PMS and PMDD. And our first product, which is the foundational, which I think we were getting to in the conversation, the idea behind it is we need to support these systems, this premenstrual pathway, rather than think about like your hormones, your nervous system, your gut. It is all in, I'm blanking on the term, but they're all like dancing together. Nobody is like off, by like off their tempo. Everybody is like on the same tempo. Everybody knows all the steps to this dance, this choreography. And what we're trying to do is support that choreography. This is such a weird
Yeah.
analogy.
No, I love it though, because it is. I think you say this too. It's like supporting the systems versus the symptoms.
Yeah.
So, one additional question I have about the estrogen, because I think that is really interesting to me, is when you're saying like the estrogen metabolism in your gut, is it with PMDD or PME? Are those individuals, they're metabolizing it too quickly or they're not able to metabolize it fast enough?
Yeah, I think again, a dysfunction in metabolism might be like a medical condition. But in PMDD, it's the sensitivity of the brain to the normal fluctuation of estrogen. So the estrogen metabolism is not affected. What's affecting is the gut telling the brain, I don't have enough resources to tell you that estrogen is metabolized or needs help metabolizing or whatever. Like I can give you the adequate signal that estrogen has dipped and progesterone has risen. Or maybe I have a lot of information, or maybe I'm panicking and freaking out. And the brain is just like really, really, it's really the nervous system that is at the forefront of the reaction in its reaction to the normal estrogen and progesterone fluctuations. What I'm trying to get at is with the estrogen metabolism, again, it's not in isolation. The reason why I mentioned that is because estrogen, and its communication with the gut, there is a lot that's going on outside of that connection. Because this connection is working smoothly, estrogen is metabolized, because this connection is running smoothly. Your brain is, getting these signals from the gut. Your blood glucose levels are like a certain way. Like, I don't know if this has been your case, but in luteal phase, a lot of women experience like cravings. This is because there is increased insulin resistance. And where is this increased insulin resistance coming from? Because a dip
Hmm.
in estrogen. Like
Yeah.
everything is so
Mhm.
interconnected and complex. I wouldn't say like women with PMDD have anything wrong with their estrogen metabolism.
Got it. Because
Uh,
where I was going with that was just a curiosity of our environment and we live in a very xenoestrogen, environment. We are exposed to more plastics and estrogen mimicking things. So I was just more curious of like, oh, is there anything with our bodies being inundated with that maybe that's also in overdrive?
like estrogen dominance.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. I'd have to look this up. Like, I honestly can't tell if that is something that is unique for women with PMDD.
Hmm.
But you brought up a really interesting memory for me. I had a 2-month appointment for Sienna, my daughter, and the pediatrician was like, yeah, just make sure you don't like bathe her with anything with like lavender flavor of not
Oh,
flavor, whatever. Yeah. And I was like, why? Lavender's brilliant. Like, I love the fragrance. And she's like, no, it's like estrogen mimicking. What?
so
Wild.
I've heard this too with like essential oils and lavender and like staying away from that. I have to do more research on that because I'm very much like East versus West meets West, and I love to be like keep a healthy home and all of that. And so I don't know, do we have any studies on the fact that that is detrimental?
I don't know how detrimental. I think that's also important to know. Like, what is
Okay.
the significance? But I think the significance is higher in like infants. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at studies on this. I haven't even tried to look into it, but I like trust this pediatrician. She's
Okay.
extremely scientific in her practice. So I've basically like dumped everything lavender flavor in my house after that,
Okay.
because that's insane. I mean,
Yeah. Great. Well,
isn't lavender like the most like dominant like fragrance in like beauty or even like a household like product?
yeah. It's used a
Sorry, we're
lot
getting
now.
fully sidetracked,
No, no,
but
no, no, it's not sidetracked at all. I think so it is like especially when you're shifting over to like right now, hand
there
sanitizer,
you go.
lavender, right? I think it's calming. It's obviously used as an
Yeah,
essential oil to be calming. I think PMDD, PMS. So I think let's collectively research that because
yeah,
I would love to know the answers because
yeah,
if we're making our own cleaning products at home, we'll use essential oils. And so, like,
yeah,
should we not be using that? Should we be using eucalyptus or something? Like,
yeah,
I would love to know.
yeah.
But I think to your point, it's like, yeah, when you hear that information from a clinician, you're like, okay, I better not do this right now. And then like let me do my own research and make a decision later on. But it's not worth, to your point, like it's not worth doing that if she's telling me not to do it with my
Yeah,
infant.
and it's my daughter. It's not me. Like, I feel like
Right.
it's different, right?
Right. It totally is.
But you're right. I should totally look this up and see if there's any significance to it. But I'm
Let's
I'm
do it
sure
because
there is, because
that has been on my list for years now, and
yeah,
it's kind of moved. So let's do it and we can share it with the audience because I
yeah,
think it's really important.
yeah,
So back to just the gut, and I know that you just finished up a beta study.
yeah.
So for our listeners, one, what is a beta study? Two, tell us what went on with that and what your findings were.
Yeah. So on our platform, Pink Matters platform, our first product is a dietary intervention, a supplement.
Mhm.
And this is the first, I think it's the first gut microbiome supplement for PMS and PMDD. And the focus is on, like I said, the systems, the premenstrual pathway that influences how one experiences their PMS and PMD, rather than each and every individual system, which, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, there are more than 100 documented symptoms of PMS and PMDD. So imagine someone were to try to manage their symptoms. How we need to create like 100 different, I don't know, solutions. Like, I don't know, maybe, but
You know what? A quick note that
yeah,
really pisses me off is like women not supporting other women in this regard of just like someone has to just tough it out more than someone else. Like in the workplace setting, you were saying your team was so supportive of
Yeah.
you for taking time off. I feel like when I was in the corporate world, someone would take off for like PMS and they'd be like, really? Like you can't tough it out,
Yeah.
It's like you're saying there's more than 100 symptoms of PMS. It's been normalized to have it when, doctors will say all the time now, like, you're actually not supposed to have PMS symptoms. You're not supposed to be cramping a lot. Those are flags
Yes.
for these deeper issues. If it's PCOS, endo, if it is a gut microbiome, if there's
Yeah.
something going on there. So I think we just need to ask those questions, but also fucking be supportive. There's
Yeah.
no like, stop. Like, you don't have to feed into the narrative that we just need to tough it out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It really grinds my gears when I hear
Yeah.
that. Like it really does. And it's also another it's also another stressor, right? In your life. Anyway, about this beta study. So, right, we're really targeting this premenstrual pathway to help support this gut hormone brain communication in order
Mhm.
for someone to not experience their symptoms or experience like them mildly. We're not saying that this is a magic bullet. I tell some of my customers or people who are taking this product that if you take this product every day, it's great. But if you like do this and go out binge drinking every other day, like it's not going to help you. You know that, right?
Right.
So all of this to say, and you brought up such a good point. We created, like I created this formulation, this product, and for me, it was really important to me that I tested it on myself, which I had already had. By the way,
Mhm.
I'd been taking this product for a while, and it's really, been helpful, which is why I don't know if I told you this. I created this protocol, so to speak, and then really thought of creating Pink Matter as a company. Like I never really ventured into starting Pink Matter in the first place, but that's a whole other conversation. But this beta study was really our way to like see if, first of all, if women are wanting to take a product like this. Number two, if they are willing to take, what are they benefiting out of this product? And so that was like really key to me. And then in order for me to collect volunteers or participants for this beta study, and a beta study is essentially a cohort of participants who voluntarily want to try out a product, a service, an app, like it could be anything for you know, a specific time period. So in our case, I talked to more than 150 women, like interviewed them about their symptoms, severity, etc., understanding like what they're doing currently for their PMS and PMDD. So out of that cohort, I selected like a few participants. And one of the standout things that this reminded me, what you brought up really reminded me of this was so many women were like, why am I changing my PM? Like, why am I doing this? Isn't this normal? Like, why am I like
Right. It's like
trying
for
to
my
do
period.
anything?
That's how yeah.
And so, oh my gosh, there were so many gems that came out of it. And it's not to blame anyone, but like the society we live in. We've been asked to tough it out. We've been asked to think that it's PMS. Like, don't you know? Like, this is
Right.
normal. Like, you
Right.
woman, you
Right.
should experience it. Um,
It's a rite of
anyway, getting
passage.
sidelined again, but there are so
Yeah.
many tangents to this. But anyway, so we ended up with 21 women who took the supplement for 2 months, follicular phase to follicular phase twice. So this means, say you have your period. After your period ends, like the following day is when your follicular phase starts. They
Mhm.
start taking the supplement until their next period ends. So that is one cycle. So they did 2 cycles that way. And about 100% of the women experienced improvements in digestive symptoms. So this is anywhere from bloating, regularity, diarrhea, constipation,
Mhm.
100% of them. And I know exactly why all of them felt this way. I'll tell you in a bit. 86% of the women experienced improvement in mood,
Mm.
which I think is such a big win here.
Yeah.
And this is like women who are, and this cohort is women with severe PMS and potentially PMDD. I say potentially PMDD because a lot of women, aren't officially diagnosed with PMDD.
Mhm.
They go through the DSM-5 probably, or like the internet, and they find out, okay, like I probably have PMDD. And so, and also like, what is severity? Severe for you might be like moderate for me. You know what I mean?
Right. Where's
But
the
for
nuance?
these women, this is their peak. This is their severe. And so great results. In terms of fatigue, approximately 50% of participants, so that's like 10, 11 of the participants experienced improvement in energy. So they didn't feel that exhaustion, that fatigue that comes on during luteal, which means that their cravings are also reduced. There is a
Interesting.
very, very interesting interplay there. So I'm really happy with these results. I think this is such a huge signal for us and for the scientific, community in general, that there is something here to be said about the gut hormone brain connection. PMS and PMDD is not a purely hormonal disorder.
Yeah.
These systems need to be supported.
So would you recommend before starting a supplement like this to get a gut microbiome test and see kind of what's going on in there now and maybe to get a baseline?
This topic, I think about this topic a lot because we do want to introduce gut microbiome testing in our like universe of solutions as well. But it's interesting. The gut microbiome data that, one could retrieve from this test is ginormous, right? Are we there where we can understand the nitty-gritty of what is going on in your gut microbiome? I don't know. Maybe someone else does. I don't know yet if we can understand the status of the gut microbiome unless someone has a really bad case of, I don't know, SIBO or IBS or IBD. You know what I mean? Like a medical condition or this syndrome specifically related to digestive conditions. So I would say, short answer, you don't have to take a test. What the supplement does is two things. One is it tries to improve the diversity of the gut microbiome, which means that we want different kinds of gut microbiome in the environment so that your gut is equipped with creating all these amazing enzymes and metabolites for your brain and your hormones. And then number two is feeding these diverse gut microbiome with the appropriate food. So I hear about fiber a lot, like, oh my gosh, take fiber. Fiber will not do anything to you. It'll probably either clog you or cause diarrhea. But if you have the right gut microbiome for this fiber, like it'll do really well for you. So you need two things for gut microbiome based supplement to work. You need to have the right bacteria and the right food for it. So that's what we've done. So we have a postbiotic, which is a next generation probiotic. So probiotic is a live bacteria, good bacteria that people consume. What we've done is we've taken inactivated live bacteria. So they're still functional in the gut. And so we have that. And this has amazing clinical trials on women who have PMS as subjects. And it really supports that gut-brain axis like I mentioned. And then we have a prebiotic, which is part fiber, part a prebiotic molecule, which is basically food for this really good bacteria for it to flourish and for it to produce these amazing enzymes and metabolites that are basically signals for your brain and your hormones to be like, hey, we're good. We're doing really well today.
And
Yeah.
there's some other vitamins in there as well, right? Omegas, vitamin B.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about
So
that.
the other thing about this product development that was really important to me, like I said, I'm a consumer. I've taken supplements, I've taken medication. Pill fatigue has always been a problem for me. Taking too many pills. I mean, I still take too many pills, I think, but I wanted to create something, something as a baseline, something foundational that women can take and don't have to worry about taking other like supplements. So that is why this product has a multivitamin component. So you don't have to take a multivitamin, a daily multivitamin. This is it for you. It has omega-3 fatty acids, a combination of DHA and EPA, and this postbiotic and prebiotic. So we kind of call it like a 4-in-1 product because you're basically taking all of these in like 2 capsules a day. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. My other question about supplements in general, because again, everything is so divisive and people that want to shit on supplements are like, well, nothing's regulated and you're not even absorbing it anyway. And so What is your response to that? For
Um,
your product specifically, but for what are some of those things that listeners should be looking for with supplements to say, okay, this is a verified product that I should at least try to put in my repertoire and see if it works for me?
yeah, it's so interesting. I feel like at this point, supplement has become like a dirty word. Like you almost cringe, right? I don't know. It's kind of frustrating because like I especially get this, I don't know, like especially like old school researchers, scientists,
Mhm.
doctors can give you that reaction because there's so much noise in the supplement industry because it is that easy to make a supplement. I think it really comes down to quality.
Mhm.
But I'm also like, as a consumer, I'm thinking like, how does one even come to a conclusion that this is like high quality, right?
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
I
I was
think
just gonna say, like,
yeah.
my barometer for quality is like looking at the label. Are there additives? There's a couple of brands that generally I love and I know, like Pure Encapsulations, for example, is just a brand that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And so I always go to them first. If I'm like, oh, I need
Got
a
it.
vitamin D3 K2, that's where I'm gonna go.
Got it.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many intriguing things out there. It's yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, I can think of like third party testing.
Hmm.
Really important. Like you want a third party like Eurofins or other respectable like labs, reputable labs to do a third party test on your product to say that, hey, this doesn't have any contamination. I think contamination is like, I think key. Third party testing for contamination is such a must.
Hmm.
Because you're basically accumulating toxins if you're not testing for it. So I think looking out for third party testing is really important. Looking out for, in my opinion, and this, I don't know if you would agree with this. I would love to see the research behind the product, especially if I'm looking at a new
Hmm.
product. I want to see clinical trials on this. Like I'm a scientist, but I'm also a consumer, and I feel like I sometimes the two minds get like entangled,
Yeah.
and I'm like really projecting. Like, wait, I want to. Why does this product claim that it can do this? Studies associated with the ingredients really important.
But you want to
But
see the actual peer-reviewed studies, not like, hey, the marketing person pulled these things out of context and put them on the label.
I think you could potentially do that as long as the dosing is the same in
Hmm.
the paper as well as in the product.
Hmm.
If the dosage is like, we've done a study on this dosage of omega-3 and it tells you X, Y, and Z, I think that is fair. I think it is fair that you could potentially use that as a source. But
Hmm.
what is even better is that particular ingredient having like clinical trial, even one.
Got it. So like the individual ingredients, not like the product overall. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Our product, all
Yeah.
ingredients have clinical trials behind them, all of them.
And do you have a clinical trial for it all combined as well? Or how does that work?
No. So
Yeah.
so I would have to do that clinical trial on the product, right? Clinical trials are really expensive. There needs to be a third party involved, which is what makes it expensive. It needs to be done a certain way. And I think the best way to do it is do a randomized, double placebo like trial.
Hmm.
And at this stage of our company, we're completely bootstrapped.
Right. Right.
We could only achieve a beta study as opposed to a clinical trial.
Yeah.
But it is my goal to do a clinical trial on the combo of all ingredients. I think that would be
Right.
fantastic.
Right.
Beta study is like an early signal. Hey, this works.
Hmm.
It's 6%, 100%, like all of these
Hmm.
signals are there. So this gives me confidence that, hey, like our clinical trial might be like, it might look really good if
Yeah.
we were to do this.
And why doesn't the FDA look at supplements currently?
Wow. I don't know. I'm
Because
not
I just,
sure.
I mean,
Actually,
yeah.
actually, for any ingredient to be consumed by humans, it
Hmm.
needs to undergo an FDA approval. So this could be a vitamin D ingredient. Like it doesn't have to be a specific from a brand,
Hmm.
but it has to be like, like a certain format of vitamin D or a certain format of omega-3. Whatever that we are consuming like on the market as ingredients, they all need to undergo FDA approval. So what the FDA is not doing is approving the combination of the approved ingredients, which is interesting, which they should do.
Right. Like, to me, that just sends off red flags of, but this is happening and people are going to try to do that because it's so important. Or I'm just thinking of prenatal supplements. Like, to me, it just doesn't make any sense.
That's so interesting. And like the population taking prenatals is like the most vulnerable population. I wonder,
Right.
and doctors are so enthusiastic about prescribing prenatals.
And like,
It
they
is a
have
supplement
shit.
at the end of the day.
And like, unfortunately, a lot of them on the market are shit. They have shit ingredients, they have
It is so
additives,
true.
and they're
I
not
think
even, yeah.
I think I read this interview by the founder of Ritual, and I don't know if I'm getting this right, but I think when she was pregnant, she found a prenatal with like tuna sourced omega-3, like, and I was like,
Throw the
what?
mercury in
You are
there.
supposed to avoid tuna when
Right.
you're pregnant, and I think that was like her backstory for starting Ritual, if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong. But I
Well,
thought, yeah,
yeah, I was talking to another guest about how prenatals that were found on Amazon, for example, they contained Viagra.
huh?
It's just like, to me, it doesn't make any sense. If we're here and our current administration is pushing the wellness world and we're all taking supplements, you need some sort of regulation on that
Yeah.
because we're not there in terms of being discerning consumers. We're just not. Like, as me as a layman and knowing that, okay, yes, this vitamin D or this
Yeah.
omega-3 was by ingredient. Like, I just learned that right now that those are approved.
Like it has to be safe for human consumption, period. It
Mhm,
has to undergo FDA approval for that. If not, it
mhm.
cannot go into market.
Right.
The other thing I want to mention is if a supplement claims to do something that they cannot back with
Mhm,
research, the FDA can come to you and be like, you need to take your product off the market, or
mhm.
they can like ban you from putting this product out in the market. So claims are
Yeah.
regulated. I cannot go out and say my product cures cancer. I don't
Mhm,
have any research to back that. My product can't even say that I can cure PMDD
mhm,
because the research does not say that. My
mhm,
research
mhm,
says it supports the gut brain axis. My research says it supports the gut estrogen axis.
mhm.
It can do X, Y, and Z, but it cannot cure PMDD.
Yeah.
And that's the goal with supplements. It's a supplement. It is
Right.
not medication. It is not a magic bullet. And I think there's that psychological like shift in mindset that we should have too, that at the end of the day, this is one of the things that you can do to your health, to your PMS, to your PMDD. And like I previously mentioned about binge drinking, there needs to be a sustainable list of good habits that you follow every single day, after which you could potentially even consider, hey, like my PMS is actually gone.
Yeah.
Um,
What are some of those foundational elements or lifestyle shifts that you
yeah,
recommend women do with taking the foundational from Pink Matter, with
yeah,
possibly staying on their SSRI or being on
yes.
birth control?
So here's the thing: birth control SSRIs are important. If you need to take this medication, you should continue to. In order for you to support your gut brain hormone connection, the premenstrual pathway, the supplement is not going to interfere with your hormones. The supplement is not going to
Mhm,
interfere with the medication because it is targeting your gut microbiome.
mhm,
So what you're doing is really supporting like a part of the system that is influencing you. The other thing I would say is movement, some
mhm.
kind of movement in your life every day.
Yeah.
Go for like a lap, a 10-minute lap around your neighborhood. A lot of people have like walking, like a walk pad on near their desk. They just walk for like 30 minutes or whatever. Movement is so critical, so important. But the most important thing, Cab, I think, is stress. Like, and this is like easier said than done. Like I like listen to someone, they're like, you should manage your stress. And I just roll my eyes so hard. But stress is the number one deterrent.
Mhm.
It causes so many different like malfunctions, so to speak, in your system. Stress with aging, deadly combo. Aging causes inflammation. Stress also causes like inflammation. Your gut is really affected by stress. And I think, I don't know, like this is totally anecdotal. There's no evidence to back this, but I was in a very high stress environment. I got out of the high stress environment and I got pregnant within like 3 months. Completely anecdotal. I don't want anyone to come at me that "Hey, like this is, I don't know, you need to back this with a source." I agree. This is completely anecdotal. But the other thing which was really serendipitous for me was, so like I mentioned, my husband and I were like, we should probably try for a baby. So you know what my thought process was? It was like, I need to become like such a healthier version of myself that once I am done having my baby, I need to be in a position to deal with my PMDD. That was my thought process.
Mhm.
But what ended up happening is, and I'll tell you exactly what I did. I became so healthy and I was following a lot of different things from research that this led me to the foundational because I started to prep myself 6 months in advance of starting conceiving. And conceiving took such a long time. By the time we started to conceive, like my PMDD was basically like mild PMS.
Great.
I'll tell you exactly what I did. One of the things that I did that was painful was I switched to full fat dairy, which I know a lot of people can't do. I it was also like mildly like lactose intolerant. Yeah, I was pretty lactose intolerant. I like had to train my gut to tolerate full fat like yogurt, which is fats are so good for you. Fats are
Yeah.
so good for you. I want to shout this out of like rooftops. Fats are building blocks for hormones. You are depriving yourself of like the essential building blocks if you're not eating your protein, your fats.
Mhm.
Full fat yogurt was like a non-negotiable for me.
Just
Full
a
fat,
quick question on that.
yeah.
Do you subscribe to the whole idea that like A2 cows are better for gut health, or
No,
you kind of do? Okay.
no, I don't.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. I think like I drink like ultra processed whole milk.
Mhm.
Is A2 like not processed or is a
No,
specific?
it is. They're different types of cows that
Oh,
apparently
got it.
by, I don't know if it's what they're fed or something, like the
Right.
milk is just it's easily digestible. Um
It might be. I mean,
so I mean we've started having that, and I love if you like cereal, like Seven Sundays, it's minimal ingredients, but it's
yeah,
so good. So I'll have that at night as like a snack with
yeah.
A2 milk, and it's so good. It's pasteurized. It's not
No,
raw.
you know how, sorry. I just
No, I know we have to there has to be a disclaimer now because we don't know.
raw
I
milk,
am not a
like,
ballerina farm gal, but
yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? You're drinking raw milk now? Oh my gosh. It's like I just can't even.
so
Right.
you were
So
having full fat yogurt.
I'll find yogurt,
Yeah.
whole milk in my coffee. Because that was the only milk I was drinking, or like my
Mhm.
matcha, like I would do full fat. Eggs, non-negotiable, 2 eggs every day for my omega, for my protein. Specific yogurt, and I'm not being paid by them, but Sigis
Oh yeah.
yogurt,
Mhm.
full fat yogurt, they
Mhm.
have specific bacteria because of which I chose them.
Interesting. And what is the bacteria?
There are like 5 to 6 different strains of bacteria that are really good for you. They're like lactobacilli, group bifidobacterium. They're two families of specific strains. One of the strains is our postbiotic. So what I'm doing with this yogurt is I'm getting my fats, I'm getting my protein,
Mhm.
and I'm getting the good bacteria that I need to. So it's essentially eating probiotics, right? So I'm hitting all three with like one really good product.
Mhm.
That really helped me. I was taking prenatals.
Mhm. Prenatal. What are you taking?
I was taking parallel, which is why I think I had that pill fatigue. I mean,
Do
parallel,
they have the packs? They have the
they have
packs of
pack
pills.
of like
Mhm.
4 or 5 capsules, but they're so good. They're clinically backed. They
Yeah.
have
I have that pill
really
fatigue as well. I had Metagenics, the horse pills, and I finally found a way. This is like a huge tip that I don't know
interesting.
how I just learned, but I would just literally take the whole pack of, I don't know if it's like 6 pills or something, and they're, like the big ones. You know how you take pills and everyone like puts their head back?
Yeah.
You next time you take pills, take the water, put your neck down and swallow and see what happens. I swear to God, it's life
I've
changing.
never,
They
I've never
literally,
heard of this before.
they literally go right down your throat. I swear to
How does
God,
that
try
even
it
work?
tonight. Text me, let me know. It's like today's hack of how to swallow your supplements.
Wow. I'm definitely trying that. That's
Or
that's
like,
incredible.
I think this is a commonality because I've talked with my friends. Like, if I'm running out the door and I take my SSRI without having anything in my stomach, I get like burning up my
Yeah.
esophagus.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think
Anyway, sidebar.
no, I tell our customers too, it's on the label that you must take the supplement with a meal and water.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable. There's there's like really good stuff in there and you need your gut to be nicely prepped for it
Hmm.
to get like the to take the full advantage of it.
Yeah.
Where were we? I
So,
completely
yogurt, parallel prenatal.
Yes, parallel. I had a really interesting thought before building Pink Matter. I started to take my prenatal 6 months before we even tried conceiving, right? Like, say like we weren't going to conceive. I kept taking the prenatals. What is the harm? Right? Like there is no
Right.
research to suggest that the prenatal dosing is not recommended. I don't know, maybe I haven't researched enough, but in my research, I've found that um, it might take whatever time it takes for someone to conceive and they continue taking prenatals. It's like not detrimental. It's actually it was really, really beneficial for me.
Hmm.
And I think the prenatals were one of the factors too that really helped my PMDD. Really
That's
did.
really interesting that you mentioned that because I'm wondering if that was correlated. Like, once I got my period back, I had that pill fatigue and I think I stopped taking my prenatals. I was still doing like a vitamin D supplement, but that's really interesting and I think it goes back to the foundational elements of like we're undernourished as women. We are not getting the right nutrients from our food, one, because we're not eating enough, the state of our food in general, lack of education and resources, and then add on to
This
that.
economy.
Right. Yeah. It's wild. And then you don't really know. That's why I think that the net for us too is just like building that care team of people that you trust to say,
Yeah.
hey, I want to try this. Can you support me in this and follow along if it's not working for me or if it is?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like making sure, like with when I was working with my psychiatrist, like, oh, I'm going to try this Pink Matter product. Will you monitor with me those symptoms? Help me track it and have like an accountability partner too to help you because it's really hard to do these things on your own. Like I try to track it as best as I can, but frankly, like some weeks I'm like, holy shit, why
You
am
just
I
yeah,
I'm a completely different person. And then I'm like,
yeah,
oh God, it's that week. And
yeah.
yeah, so I
No, you bring up such a good
understand.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think having a support person is really important.
Hmm.
It is so I mean, we are social beings at the end of the day. We need that group, we need that person. This could be
Hmm.
literally anyone, your brother, your sister, your spouse, your mom,
Right.
your dad, your psychiatrist. They can help you keep you in check and also remind you that you're in a funk. This is not you.
Right.
I think my husband was actually instrumental in helping me realize that this was PMDD as well, or even related to my period, because one day he just went, "Doesn't this happen monthly?" Like, just a comment. He literally was like, "This is like a monthly thing." I'm like so sick of
Yeah.
it. And I was like, holy shit.
Right.
Like so right. Like,
Because you're
how
like,
was I
what's
supposed to know
happening?
this?
Yeah. You're
I
like, what's
I
happening in my life, in my work, in whatever, like to try to
yeah.
pinpoint where the stress is coming from, where it's coming from your gut, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
And
Yeah.
Kat, like this took so many years for me to come to this, to Pink
Mhm.
Mac, right? There is education needed. There is awareness needed. There are all these support systems needed. We need a certain lifestyle. We need a certain diet. And there are, I feel like if I have to really break it down in terms of the non-negotiables, if you were to tell me like some basic things I can start today,
Mhm.
I will say sleep. 8 hours of sleep. Women require more. So how many hours you require? At least try to
Right.
get 8 hours of sleep. Sleep is
Mhm.
so important. Movement, 30 minutes of movement.
Question
And
about the movement quickly,
yeah.
because cycle syncing is such a huge thing.
Mm,
I've personally found that in my luteal phase, I actually need more movement than in the other phases. Like I need to sweat. I need to do like harder hitting workouts and like
yeah.
cycle thinking, for example, is like gentle movement and
Yeah.
Pilates. And like that makes my anxiety worse. Have
Yeah.
you found that at all?
Yeah, I don't know if cycle thinking has enough data to back it for.
I don't think it has any.
Yeah, yeah. I think if it helps people in doing certain things during certain phases, like I think they should stick to it. Good for them
Mhm.
that they found out their like happy place.
Mhm.
But I don't think there is anything scientific about it. It's just about like what's working for you. I think it's not that complex. I think you, Kat, want to sweat it out. Go for it.
Right.
Someone else wants to like sit down cozy with a cup of mocha on their couch, do it. But I think movement could be literally anything. Just walk, do
Okay.
some stretches, squat in like whatever, wherever you're standing.
Yeah. Okay.
Looks very different for everyone, but it's
Mhm.
so important for us to get that going,
Mhm.
movement. But so movement, sleep, stress. Ugh, stress. This is such a hard one, but truly, truly so important because it affects everything. And diet.
Mhm.
It is also such a tough one because and it doesn't need to be all organic. It doesn't need to be like pasture raised eggs. Just get whatever eggs you can. Um, Eat like veggies, like green leaves, green veggies, cruciferous vegetables. They have a lot of fiber in them. They have their probiotic, prebiotic. Yogurt is such a good one. Just very simple diet that has like protein, good fats, fiber. You're good to go. It doesn't need to be complex. The thing that is really critical about PMS and PMDD is consistency. If you can do two things consistently every day, you will definitely find there to be like a difference in your life. Trust me. Whatever sustainable.
Yeah, and I like that because it's not just you're not looking at it as just the luteal phase. You're like, okay, no, I need to be these are foundational elements I need to do every
Yes.
day versus that time. And
Yes.
I do think
Absolutely.
tracking is important and I personally need to be
Yes.
better about that just to signal to myself, hey, you need to be mindful. You know, I had even seen women that were just like, okay, I'm not going to structure any big meetings during that luteal phase. And
Yeah.
I understand that because I feel
Yeah.
that dread. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in my luteal phase today, but I
Yeah.
moved my body this morning.
I love that.
I have not nourished myself. I'm on my second cup of coffee. So forgive me for today. But I'm starting to understand
Yeah.
what can help.
Yeah.
What do you do for nervous system support? And if we're looking at
Mhm.
this as a toolkit, and so we have supplements, maybe we can throw things like saffron in there.
I love saffron,
Yeah,
actually.
I've heard like have you heard the whole thing about, like, women taking antihistamines for
Yeah.
PMDD? So
Yeah.
what is that, like, histamine, hormone, brain, what's going on there?
It's so simple. So, histamine is this compound that can cause inflammation. So, if you don't have enough, again, if you don't have the specific gut bacteria that processes these histamines and breaks them down, it causes inflammation. Inflammation causes multiple different things in your body, right? Including PMS and PMDD. So, a lot of women, I don't know if it's a lot of women, but I've definitely seen on Reddit threads, and I'm pretty active on Reddit,
Mhm.
especially the PMDD subs, um, that Zyrtec, like an antihistamine like Zyrtec, has been really helpful because I think, again, the connection with inflammation. And again, this is back to your gut microbiome. If you do not have enough diverse gut microbiome, there's a host of different things that could be happening. You're not breaking down your histamine, which causes inflammation. You're not creating these enzymes that is required for estrogen metabolism. You're not creating short chain fatty acid that is important for neurotransmitter synthesis or the signaling to your brain. I mean, it really is coming down to the gut, isn't it? Like that was like, this is back when I was doing my
Right.
research. It really came down to that. So
Right.
it is, yeah. So histamine intolerance, I just want to put it out there, is a medical condition. We're talking like not diagnosed histamine intolerance, I'm assuming, right? Like this is like women
Yeah,
trying things out.
right. And
Yeah.
so is that the only way you know? Like, you take a Zyrtec and see if it mitigates any symptoms, or is there any sort of testing for that?
There might be tests for histamine intolerance. Again, it's something only your doctor is able to figure that out for you and not your Reddit or
Mhm.
supplements or whatever. I think
Yeah.
that's like that there are some things that you must go to your doctor for.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that you can figure out yourself.
Right.
If taking Zyrtec is helping, that's fine. But I also know Zyrtec, you could build like a tolerance for Zyrtec too. So
Mhm.
there's that catch 22 as well that
Right.
you'd have to deal with. So
Right. And you're not still addressing
you're still not
possibly the
addressed.
underlying, yeah, the symptom.
Exactly. 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 But it's really unfortunate that it's down to like us as individuals to
Mhm.
figure such complex things out when we're not experts at these things. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. And you only have maybe 20 to 21 good days in the month to figure it out if you have PMD.
I mean, seriously, right? Like,
So,
yeah.
one last question, and then I want to jump into like some quick, a true or false game in our final thoughts.
Yes.
GLP-1s are everywhere
Yes.
because the studies are showing that it actually reduces inflammation. I'm wondering if you're looking at, GLP-1 usage, women are now using it for PCOS, which is really impactful, and for perimenopause, menopause. How do you think that plays a role with gut health?
Yeah. I think GLP-1, the drug, is a peptide that mimics a hormone.
Got
I
it.
think
Okay.
that's what it is. So it's mimicking something that should be produced in your stomach. So GLP-1 is very interesting, right? And this
Mhm,
is where I think the medical community is really starting to look at like the gut microbiome as like
mhm,
a place to start in terms of like innovation and whatnot.
mhm.
GLP-1 interestingly does reduce inflammation, and it also creates some certain diversity in the gut microbiome, and there are certain hints to it helping with PMS and PMDD as well because of that connection
Interesting.
and
Interesting.
its connection with blood glucose regulation.
I assume if you're supporting yourself and nourishing yourself with the right nutrients as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think, but like think about someone who is in a really bad condition health wise, like inflammation wise, and a little bit of this GLP-1 is like reducing your inflammation. You probably are seeing like significant difference in your life when it comes to
Right.
PMS or PMDD versus someone
Mhm.
who's like moderately healthy. Maybe they won't see that big of a difference, but we're talking like people who have been prescribed GLP-1, not people taking GLP-1s on their own. Like
Right.
there's like a very
Right.
clear
Mhm.
distinction. So yeah, very fascinating. I'm fascinated by GLP-1s. I think we're gonna see some really great innovation from that space. But for me, I think we're headed towards the right direction. But again, like it needs to be regulated. We need to get really good studies on this, clinical trials. But overall, I'm really excited about GLP-1s
Okay.
and
Cool.
its potential.
Cool. So, quick gut check, true or false? So, every woman should be taking a probiotic.
Ooh, I don't know. No. Why is this like an every woman thing? No, I don't think so. I think some women probably have like really diverse gut microbiome and they're totally fine. They don't need it.
And so, that's another question because the gut microbiome testing is not a perfect science yet. We
Mm,
don't fully understand it.
you fully understand it. Yeah.
How do you know if you should be taking it or if it's a waste of money?
It also depends what kinds of probiotics you're taking for what. Like,
Yeah.
is it are you venturing into probiotics because you have digestive issues? Then yeah, maybe you could try it. But if you're regular, don't have any digestive concerns, and you're like, I'm gonna try a probiotic, I don't think
Mhm,
anything differently is going to happen.
mhm.
And I don't know unless you're like, again, in that SIBO, IBS, IBD category, you can see anything from the testing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It is also just like, let me try to take this probiotic for 3 months or 6 months and see if it makes a difference. So yeah, why not? But I
Yeah.
don't think every woman should take a probiotic.
Yeah. Okay. I am also just curious because our generation, we're taking antibiotics like
Mm,
Skittles, right? And so I'm wondering if that has permanent damage on our gut microbiome and like as we start to learn more about that gut, if that will sort of come to the surface.
yeah. I mean, my mantra in life is everything is nuanced. There is no black and white. So for me, it's
Mhm.
always like nobody should do anything. Like if
Yeah.
you want to do it, maybe you can try it. I don't think there is a must do.
Yeah.
Anyway, antibiotics definitely deplete the gut microbiome 100%. And I totally hear you. And maybe antibiotic use manifests as, I don't know, like eczema, as like allergies, as like histamine intolerance. It could be like anything, or IBS. I think it really depends on what kind of effect it has on the microbiome and what it has manifested as in terms of like the reaction for people to consider going to their doctor to figure that out. But I think it's really down to, I don't think we can self-diagnose that, is what I'm
Right.
trying to say.
Right.
Um, you could potentially try taking probiotics, but I don't know how helpful that would be without understanding what you're doing to your gut.
So net is we need more research on that.
More research. We need more doctors to be a little bit more, I don't know. Like we need more outside the box thinking. We need like a house MD or something.
So is that though like the world of natural medicine? Like the folks that are trying to set aside the folks that are trying to grift and do like these gut detoxes and resets, consistently. I think there is personally some merit to like I've worked with my naturopath before to see sort of what was going on. I actually postpartum with Zoe, my thyroid antibodies were elevated, so like could be moving into Hashimoto's. And we ended up like I had a little bit of dysbiosis, and because I was breastfeeding, I couldn't go on anything stronger, but I ended up doing allicin, which is like a derivative of garlic, the antibacterial properties of garlic, and a few other things, and my levels went down drastically, like 20 points or something in a matter of a month.
Wow.
And so there is merit to that anecdotally for
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
so I'm always sort of towing the line of what are the things that we can use to give us relief now? But what are some things that are sort of no harm, no foul that can let us test for ourselves, again, with guidance, but so
Yeah.
that we can see, okay, well, with this cocktail of things, if
Yeah.
it's the basics, exercise, sunlight,
Yeah.
supplements, etc.,
Yeah.
it's birth control and some interventions, if you will.
Yeah.
Where's that medium? Where's that middle for each one of us?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think like the baseline is you don't have to suffer. You shouldn't be having strong symptoms of any sort. And so you have to confer and be your own advocate and get to
Yeah.
the bottom of it.
Absolutely.
So, last question, what is the final takeaway that you want listeners to know about PMS and PMDD?
I think PMS and PMDD can be in control, manageable by making certain lifestyle choices. And I'm not even getting to like the medication part. You need to go to your doctor, get your diagnosis done, but lifestyle changes could be really powerful. As a scientist, as a skeptic, I have seen it work. Some of the things should be non-negotiables for you in your daily life. Cut alcohol as much as you can. Like I don't want to offend anyone, but I really am very blunt about that, about alcohol consumption. It's really bad for women than it is to men.
Mhm.
Um,
So, if a woman, and I'm asking this for myself, who is
yeah,
the is,
yeah, yeah,
mainly because I don't feel good. Like I've cut my consumption back to like if I go out to dinner, like I'll have 2 glasses of wine like in a
that's
week.
fine.
But like, could you abstain completely during your luteal phase, in
I
your
uh,
opinion?
I abstained completely like the entire cycle.
Yeah.
I abstained from alcohol for 6 months prior to conceiving. And during that whole period of trying to conceiving, I was abstaining. So basically, like about 2 years, I did not drink. Felt like the best had ever felt
Sure.
in my entire.
No one.
I'm sure it's not the only factor. Like I mentioned, I also made all of these like nutrition related choices and lifestyle related choices. But yeah, definitely. I mean, once in a while is fine. I'm not asking people to just go like boop. I'm not just nope, not a drop. It's hard.
Right.
Even that is hard.
Yeah. But you don't need to be having a glass of wine every night
Every day. Yes.
because
If you're
there's,
making it a habit,
yeah.
every single that really compounds. Alcohol
Yeah,
has
and
this kind of
it's
information.
like right, and there might be something else going on. Like if you need to unwind at the end of the day, maybe there's a different ritual or a habit that you can look into. And I'm the
Yeah.
first to say, like, I've had a tough week and I want to go have a dirty martini with my husband. Yeah,
Yes.
cool. But
Yeah.
I also love the taste of it and I like to be social. So there's other
Yeah.
components involved for me,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, I think that is
And
something we
how
just
many
need to be
times
mindful of.
how many times a week are you social? Once, twice a week, right? Like it's not every day. I think the daily habits, they like compound.
Yeah.
And if you have some non-negotiables in your daily life, well, again, consistency is so key, sustainability. Your gut microbiome is all about consistency. You can't just do something for a month and be like, okay, I think I'm good here. I'm going to go back to eating McDonald's, and no offense to McDonald's, I love McDonald's, or like drinking wine every day. I think there has to be some sort of like moderation to things.
Right.
Consistency, sustainable habits, compounding good habits. Oh my gosh, they can be huge difference. So basically what I'm saying is it is achievable to live a life pain-free. It is absolutely achievable to do that, and it is in your control.
Love it. So on to some more fun questions, even though the gut is very fun to talk about. A wellness trend that you've seen circulating on social media that you've actually leaned into?
I love sauna.
Mm-hmm.
I love saunas. So I'm gonna say sauna. I also have dabbled into like red light therapy for my skin.
Full body or face?
Face. I love it. There's a ton of good clinical studies on it, which I love. So I would say sauna and red light.
There's a bunch of, when you head into the city, there's a bunch of wellness spots that you can do the full body, but it's great for postpartum. Definitely check that out.
I will.
But sauna's so good.
Yeah,
So
it's the
good.
best.
Favorite personal care product?
I want to say I've like dipped my toes into Korean skincare, and it's been amazing.
Okay.
I would say I'm really into biodance at the moment.
Okay. Any
They have
specific
these
product?
they have these toner pads that has hyaluronic acid, and it kind of works as like a toner plus like a moisturizer, and my skin's just like glowy when I use the pad. I use it every day. And then they also have these masks. And these are like collagen masks. It's not even like plastic things that will go and like clog up your pipes or whatever. They're all biodegradable. Biodance is really good. Yeah. Again, not being paid by them, but
No, I need to get into it. I love it.
love it.
Last thing that you asked Chat GPT or your AI assistant?
What did I ask my chat? It's probably something to do with pink matter, honestly.
Yeah.
They're really good for strategizing.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know this, but I love Claude, ChatGPT. I use them for different things, but everything works.
What do you use Claude for versus Chat GPT?
Claude is really good for just like brainstorming and strategizing. ChatGPT, potentially like any like writing kind of work. But again, you kind of have to go in and, put your own spin to it. But yeah, I think like anything long form write-ups for any help with that. Claude is really good for, I think Claude has really good nuance. So strategy, I think.
Cool. Podcast, book, or resource that you would recommend to women?
Okay. So I'm currently reading The Nurture Revolution by Dr. Greer Kirshenbaum.
Okay, tell me.
Because I'm in my first mom era. So I'm like all about it now. It's really great. I feel like child development, child upbringing is also very like, it's like marred by a lot of like old wives' tales and like a lot of very like obsolete like things. And I thought I wanted to like read something scientific about like upbringing and how do you make a really confident and fun child. I don't know. But
I love
human.
it. Cool. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
Before we go, well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm not happy that we both share PMDD, but I'm happy that I found you because of that. And I'm just excited that you're actually trying to get under the hood with PMS. And women, you don't have to suffer. You shouldn't be having strong PMS. You shouldn't be having a lot of cramps. So talk to your doctor. Check out Pink Matter. Where can people connect with you, with Pink Matter, try the product, all that good stuff?
Yeah, they can always connect with me on Instagram. My personal Instagram is It's Roma Tomato.
I love it.
And Pink Matter is at Pink Matter. We're also on TikTok at My Pink Matter. You can contact us anywhere on any of these channels if you want to try the product. Happy to help with that. And yeah, please do not live in pain.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was so fun.
Yeah. Gals, make sure you're subscribed to Off With Your Coat wherever you listen. Follow at Genwell Official on Instagram and at GenWealth on TikTok. And we will see you next week. Thank you.